on SEN Track. It's time to banter with Bensely, bringing you racing's unique stories.
And we thought on Cup Eve we'd get Dean Evans onto the program to banter about the Melbourne Cup. Morning to you, Dean.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you going?
Very well indeed. Excited by this race every year, aren't we? And it's different this year. You would have been right into the records looking at how strong the race has been with the internationals, that we just haven't got those back. We've got Spanish Mission and a couple of others, but not the large number.
Yeah, it's a very different race to assess this year. It reminds me of, the races probably 10 to 15 years ago when there just were not nowhere near as many internationals, and you had a lot of the Aussie horses. You sort of know the form. There's a fairly long tail. And I've probably focused a lot on the internationals in recent years in terms of trying to find the winner. But this year, I think it's a really different kettle of fish. There's some, the internationals have some queries, and then we've got an absolute superstar Aussie horse in the race.
Well, the simple question is, can incentivise, in your belief, with everything around the horse and the 57, can he win the Melbourne Cup?
Look, he's won 9 races in a row, 3 Group 1s in a row, absolutely bolted in the Caulfield Cup. The sectionals that he sort of ran when he was in Queensland, were very, very good. He can handle a hard track. Eagle Farm's a very hard track, so there's certainly no issues with a firm Flemington. His Turnbull win, they ran 9 lengths above par in the first sectional, and he won well there, and then he sort of, won the Caulfield Cup. And the sectionals were not flash, but they certainly weren't bad. And the fact that he sort of made 2 runs, added a lot of strength and merit to it. I think he can win, but I think there's still a risk over the 2 miles with his breeding. I mean, it's interesting with his breeding. He's damaged by a horse called a Glacier, who you might recall, I think, ran the 1,200 metre record at Flemington. So she was an out and out 1,000 metre 1,200 sprinter. So there's got to be some queries on any sort of Aussie bred horse with that sort of dam side, and I think that combined with sort of the fact that even though the Caulfield Cup was so impressive, those late sectionals were just not. They weren't absolutely certain that he was finishing as strongly as he was from sort of the 2000 to the mile to the 2000. So there's queries. I still think he has to fail and clearly not stay to be beaten. They're not going to beat him on ability, but if he doesn't stay, then it's a wide open race and a good betting race.
Okay, so that's the incentivise. I think all of us have got their points of view. Also, the other key aspect is that I think we can rule horses out because they're just going in there with no form.
Yeah, absolutely. I think horses like Ocean Billy, Johnny Get Angry, Knight's Order, Karif, Master of Wine, Miami Bound, Port Guillaume, She's Ideal, and Future Score, I'd say you can, if you're taking trifectas first fours, looking to find the winner, you can pretty much cross all of those out.
Okay. So which ones are you focusing in on? I'm not too sure whether you've finalised or you'll wait for Tuesday morning and work it all out, Dean, but what are the top sort of 2 or 3 that you're seriously thinking about?
There's probably a handful of horses. I think, I'm not getting great sort of vibes from Gay Waterhouse and Glen Boss and Sir Lucan. They seem cautious and think he might be a better horse in 12 months. But, what you've got to know with the Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds is that in the last 4 years, 4 of them have run for 2 winners, a very close second with Tiger Moth last year and a very unlucky third from Il Paradiso, who probably should have won. So, it's nearly a situation where 4 of them have run for 4 winners. So it's very hard to discount Sir Lucan just on the record of these Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds. I think there's 3 horses up the top that all have a lot of ability and all failed in the Caulfield Cup, but I think they failed because of the shifty track or the fact that they didn't back up. Explosive Jack, he won the ATC and SA Derbies as a 3-year-old. He's trained by Kieran Maher and ridden by John Allen, who are the best sort of, staying combo. He ran really well in the Turnbull, and then he just flopped in the Caulfield Cup. I thought that was too bad to be true. The Chosen One ran second in the Herbert Power, absolutely charged home, running sort of plus 12 lengths the last 800, the quickest closing sectionals of the entire day in the Herbert Power. And then again, it just flopped in the Caulfield Cup, but I think it pulled too hard, so they've taken the blinkers off. So I think it's a chance. And then Delphi, who was really heavily backed in the Caulfield Cup, into $5.50. And again, it didn't back up and flopped and probably didn't handle the shifty track. I think all three of those horses can really improve. And I think, although Incentivize won the Caulfield Cup, I think those three just didn't show up. And I think Grand Promenade is another Karen Ma horse who's similar to Persan last year. He's come through a Bart Cummings, which they ran that Bart Cummings the first sectional 16 lengths above par, and he still managed to drive through on pace and win. So I think he's not a bad chance. And the other one, I think, and these are all sort of between 25 and 50 to 1, is Great House, who charged home in the Hotham, and in every one of the starts, it just seems the further the better for him. And Chris Waller has been the best trainer of the Aussie horses. If you take the internationals out the last few years, Chris Waller's name's usually beside the best performed Aussie horse. So, there's a few there, and I actually think the potential to have a little strategy where you back a few to win, and you can even still back Incentivize as a saver, so that if it wins, you break even, and if the others win, you have a big collect.
Well, you will on any of those. So the numbers you've mentioned in saddlecloth order, 5, 6, 7, 16, 23 and 24, Sir Lucan down the bottom. Now, I'm going to ask you about Twilight Payment because there's already a couple of people that are asking, can Incentivize, you've spoken about, can he stay? So we know Twilight Payment can stay the trip, but can he win it with top weight?
Yeah, look, I tipped him in this race last year at $29. So I certainly love the horse. He's now a 9-year-old. There hasn't been a 9-year-old ever win this race. Red Cadeau managed to run second as a 9-year-old, but he was the first 8-year-old since 1938 to win. He's in just as good a form, I think. He ran second in the Group 1 of the Curragh last start. They ran 4 seconds quicker than he ran when he ran third in the race last year. So, you'd argue that he's running better this year. But he's a 9-year-old. He's jumping 2.5 kgs in weight. He's carrying 58 kgs. The big challenge for Twilight, Incentivize, Spanish Mission, and Very Elegant is their weight. The 57 kgs. There's been nothing since the Great Maccabi Diva to win above 56.5 kgs since 1977. That's over 40 years. Yeah. So even Incentivize, as well as Twilight Payment and Spanish Mission, 3 of the horses most in the market, and Very Elegant, they're all going to need to beat history to win this race, and that's why I'm betting around them.
Well, you've given us your thoughts. Really appreciate it, Dean. Of course, people can get more winningedgeinvestments.com. There's tips, there's ratings from professional punters throughout the Spring Carnival. Gamble responsibly, 1-800-858-858. But it's winningedgeinvestments.com. And if you're ever going to go there, do it today because they'll be all over the Melbourne Cup and all the other meetings tomorrow. Dean, appreciate it on Cup Eve.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Have a great Melbourne Cup.
We will. Dean Evans joining us from winningedgeinvestments.com.